Hey, good evening. Want to give you an update on the Multione project. Out in the shop tonight. It's going to be 6 degrees, but I got the wood stove going. I'll walk you around the shop and give you a tour of the place and what's going on. So we'll start over by the wood stove. So here we are. Got a good roaring fire going. It'll take hours for it to heat up in here. But so I've got the exhaust and the battery out. I have the fenders off and the fuel tank and a whole bunch of plastics. Everything needs to be kind of cleaned and tidied up. The machine is, I got the arm lock in there for safety, so that's holding the boom up. And what my goal is to put the fuel tank back in, the battery, and bolt the rest of the machine back together enough that I can start it up. I want to take the safety lock out and lower the boom. Right now it's let's see, that's about 8 feet up there. I want to lower that down so that I can clean it and inspect the rest of it. So right now I'm working on putting the console back together with the ignition switch and the cover to cover this side of the hydraulics and the electrics. And then we'll start bolting the underside of the machine, the exhaust back on, get the battery on. And most of the rear plastics are all broken, so I think I'm going to leave those off until I can get those brought in from Italy. But the cleaning is nearly done. I still haven't been able to get fully cleaned down there yet. I'm going to wait for a warm day and see if I can run some hot water out of the hot water heater and clean that. But yeah, it's coming. It's coming. I've gone around and tightened all the nuts and bolts. I did all the 10 millimeters and all the 13 millimeters. Now I'm going to walk around with the 17 millimeter and the 19 millimeters and just check everything. Make sure everything's tight. A lot of stuff was vibrated loose. And then we're going to start working on stuff like this. So this is the main pin that holds the boom on, and the boom pivots and rotates on. And they really bodge this up. So we're going to be, see if we can focus on that. We're going to be grinding these welds off and replacing the pin that's inside there. And it goes all the way over to here. And what you'll notice is the Neanderthals were hitting it with a hammer, and they smudged over the bolt that holds this piece in. They smudged that over, and then they ruined the pin. So I know that there's a bearing that lives in there with a spacer, and I'm gonna see if those are still usable, but I'm gonna get a brand new pin for that, so that's safe again. But I've noticed a couple other things that are really fucked up. Is the weld on this pin. This thing should be bolted in, not welded to start with. And the reason is that hydraulic cylinder needs to come out to have a seal put in it, but I can't take it out because they've welded the pin in place. So that means I'm gonna have to cut that pin out of there. And of course, you can actually see here where they bent the ear on this piece. And so while I was cleaning it yesterday, I noticed that there's a crack in this part of the boom right here. Let's see if I can focus on it. Right there. That weld is cracked. And not only that, but the weld is cracked in this direction as well. So there's a T in that. It's a hairline crack. But I'm gonna have to grind that out and weld it to repair it. In the meantime, I've got a quote coming from Multione to see what this piece costs. See if I can replace that arm. I should get back up and show you the arm. So that arm extends from about here back to the pivot point, and then the extend-a-boom comes out of that. So we're going to see what that piece costs. I'm actually going to get a price quote. I'm actually going to get a price quote for the whole thing and see what that costs, because there's other issues as well. Once I get it down, I'll do a full video on all the flaws that I found in that. But I have to say, overall, the machine is pretty clean. Everything seems to be in good working order, except all the plastics are all broken. But the frame looks good. Everything seems to be like the motor's super clean, the oil's clean, the antifreeze is good, the hydraulic fluid is good. Everything looks, reasonably recently changed and good. And I've been able to clean it and make it, a little more presentable. But the only thing that's really wrong is this whole front boom section is pretty well whooped out. So I'll do a full video on that piece alone. But we're getting there. So, nice cold night. We got 2 feet of snow. I've been plowing for 2 days, but now I'm done, so I'm back on the machine. So warm up my hands by the fire and get to work. Hope you're warm and safe and happy wherever you are. See ya.